Hello, I'm Jennifer Jean. Today I'm going to be talking about my poem, California, which was originally published online in the Common Journal as part of their October 2020 poetry feature of Lusa-American Poets. This poem is essentially an argument. It's an argument in response to the strong implication that Joni Mitchell makes in her song, California, that home is a thing that is separate from the self. My poem argues that we carry home with us and can access it wherever we go. So I've experienced this many times in my life, but wasn't actually able to articulate this experience, this shift, until I traveled in 2018 to Lisbon on a Disquiet Fellowship, which is a fantastic program sponsored by Desanth Books. If you can be part of it, definitely be part of it. So I remember one moment feeling that the streets around me were unfamiliar. Actually, I was walking up these stone steps, and I remember just feeling like everything was unfamiliar as I had felt since I arrived there. And then suddenly I took a step, and then the next moment, I suddenly felt like I was at home. There was a shift, and I was able to capture that moment as it was happening and in my mind and remember it, and remember enough to articulate it. And I remember sharing it with one of my writer friends there, the wonderful writer Monica Zarazua. So I was talking about it with her and marveling. So when I came home, I continued actually to write my manuscript, The Pacific. I say continued because I was just starting right before I went on that trip to write this series of poems, the Pacific poems, which are all located in California, specifically in Los Angeles and on the beaches of Los Angeles. So I remembered when I came home this shift that I had felt, and I remember thinking about how the whole manuscript I was writing was written about California from my home in New England. In fact, from the very spot that I'm sitting in right now. And it's actually snowing outside, and that is not what I was writing about snow at all in my Pacific poems, because LA, snow, no. So anyways, I was remembering this feeling and how I was able to, as I was writing these poems, I was able to conjure up California and the feeling of California and the feeling of home so easily when I was writing these poems. It's just how I was feeling, and I just writing poem after poem, sitting in New England. And the poems lived inside me almost cinematically. So they lived in me in that way and not outside of me, as I felt that Joni Mitchell was talking about in her song. So by the way, speaking of her song, I modeled the whole form of the poem, or I tried to, after Mitchell's formation of her song, which in which she travels from France to Greece to Spain. And she returns to California in between those trips, in the song at least. I don't think in real life she did, but the chorus brings her and the listener back to California, and her longing for this place that is far away, and this feeling that's far away, actually. So in my poem, I go from Lisbon to Dubai to Champyeong, which is outside of Seoul, Korea. And I also returned to California in between. I don't have a chorus or anything like that. But I assert every time that I return to California, the mention, it returns to California, that I'm already there, actually. Even though I'm in these other places geographically, I'm there in California as well. And it's there in me, this home. I'm bringing it wherever I go. So I'm not longing for it. It's a state of being, actually. And it's something I'm excited about. I don't know why. I guess I just feel more confident when I was able to, especially when I was able to articulate it to Monica. I felt just more confident, like, oh, I can go anywhere. I can carry home with me. I don't have to be lonely or longing for this thing, which I've often felt, and I'm sure many of you have felt as well. So just so you know, I listened to the song a million times before I was able to model the poem after it. Sometimes I like to say that I riffed on the song, because it is not an exact replica at all. But there are portions that I highlight, actually I underline in the poem, that you'll see when I share the screen, I underlined the portions where I tried to match the rhythm of the language in the song, because I just wanted to do that. It just sounded like an exciting thing to do, especially as this poem is a response to her song. So let's take a look at the poem while I read it aloud. California, after Joni Mitchell. Climbing a stone flight in downtown Lisboa, I dodged the disquiet family begging on Rua Garrett. With their rehearsed moans, with their smiling smoke breaks in the alley by the Parroquia dos Martires. I had seen them, and they'd seen me too, posing the week before in a chair at the Café a Brasileria, with the bronze of Pessoa. They nodded, shuffled past, then my alma immortal sat so straight I knew my chair held the body that housed my home. I felt like a queen crab, like California, home, like there are no strangers in this world, like meeting Mariam Mosum at the International in Dubai, linking arms on a water taxi. We own no grips or rails or walls between us and the Arabian Sea. She was gorgeous, in a magenta turban and jeweled collar pendant. She explained the pelvic benefits of a squat latrine as our skiff surfed along to the souk. As I held myself up with my core, I nestled into that night like a foundation stone, like buying my ticket to Seoul, catching a train to Chungshim Lake, going to a party up a red dirt road on Sunan Hill, above a cold autumn fog. There were lots of seeking people there, reading shadows on the cumulus, reading sunset rays over the temples below. I faced east, found I ached like home, and I became the state of California, like a planked pier leaning over the Pacific or a twilight Ferris wheel there, elevating friends in a gently vertical turn. Like me, they hovered a little above the land, and a breeze made all our eyes water. Okay, so for the Portuguese speakers out there, I apologize for the butchering of your language. In any case, before I continue, if you're watching this on YouTube, please take time now to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell below. In the description section of this video, you can find links to my Patreon, Twitter, Instagram, and website. On Instagram, you can find all of these things in my bio. All of my exclusive poetry and creative community-related content, including the extended version of this video, is available to patrons on my Patreon page and will soon be available on my locals page. Okay, let's get started.